Your ability to make $250 an hour relies on you stopping the things that only pay $25 an hour. That's the essence of what we do right there. It's helping you build systems, automate, and eventually, even if it's just to a low cost offshore VA, virtual assistant, or a junior agent that might come into your world and show homes for you so you can give up evenings and weekends. What are the other dozens of business errands that you run on a daily basis? Just write them all out. Write out everything you do. That's the exercise here. Write out everything you do for a 2-week period. Enter listings into MLS. I met an inspector. I lead generated in the morning. I did lead follow up. I checked my email. There's all these things you'll do and you'll write down. And then you'll just decide, are they really high pay or low pay? And do I really love to do them? And just be honest with yourself. And then the cool thing is you get to work on changing this over the next 90 days. You just gotta do the work. All right, if you are an entrepreneur sort of stuck in the real estate industry, this video is for you. I'm gonna go through how exactly I went from making $18 an hour my first 10 months in the business to well over $3,000 per hour I worked in my real estate business. So the main point of this video is to inspire you to think about your business like radically differently. That is the goal here. So let me share my screen. I just want to go through, not in a boastful kind of way, but I do want to share a little bit about my journey so you have some context, and specifically how I looked at my business and how I was able to think about it in a way where, hey, if I could stop doing certain things, make more money in less time. And the game I always play in business, I don't make multiple $1 million. Like, that's not my game. My game is I do want to make $1 million a year and I want to work 1,000 hours. And I made that declaration like way back in the day. And that means that I need to make $1,000 for every hour that I work. It hasn't been perfect. I haven't done it every year. Some years I haven't made $1 million. Some years I've worked more than 1,000 hours. But that's the game that I decided to play because I wanted to be present as a husband. I wanted to, do lots of traveling, be there for my kids and do all their activities. And I really wanted to show up in all the areas of life that matter to me. So my journey, real quick, 27 homes, my first 10 months, I figured out one lead gen lever, one script, a nurture system, what now I call $1 million agent method. Back then, it was just, I kept things simple and I was a systems guy. But then I did 44 transactions. I brought a part-time administrator on, turned full-time, 58 transactions. The tail end of that year, I decided to show another agent in my market, Chris, how to go about doing this for himself. And it worked. He sold 27 homes his first year with me and went on to sell 85 homes in a single year. And he only sold 2 homes the first 18 months before he used the methods that I shared with him. Then we did 118, 178, 248. That year, I did 1 transaction out of the 248. So even though I chose the path of leverage, our systems, our approach, if you ever come onto a call with us, it's not about building a team per se. It's about building systems that make the business a whole lot easier. If you want to go from 100 to 250 to 500 to $1 million, it's not as complicated as you might think. Just takes a very deliberate approach. So then 312, then 453, and then down to 1 day a week for 6-7 years. I eventually exited this business for 7-figure valuations. The cool thing though, I worked every bit of 7 days a week. I was going to put 8 days a week, when I first started in real estate, but then I did chip away at it. And eventually I got down to 1 day a week the year we sold the most homes. I had 10 agents that I basically shared these methods with, what I call the $1 million agent method now. And they did 453 transactions, just 10 producing agents. Right. So it actually worked. And I was able to kind of live the kind of lifestyle that I wanted. And I served them at a very high level. They could make way more money working less hours, less stress in my world than not in my world. Here's the purpose of this video. I want to talk about how did I personally go from before I was out of production, which was 2012. I still went from I made $18 an hour my first 10 months in the business. A lot of mistakes, a lot of overspending. Nothing to teach you from that era except don't waste money on stuff that they just say it works. I was duped. But I did figure out how to get to 100, 150, 250, $500 per hour. And the year that I exited production, I went from 500 to 1,000. So even if you never exit production, you could still get to $500 per hour, and with a really simple setup. So the lesson here is I'm going to take you through an exercise, and I want you to actually do this exercise. I want you to dig in and do this work. And if you do it and you focus on just thinking about where you're spending your time, yeah, you're not going to get all the systems you need to build out, and we might need to come alongside you. And our $1 Million Agent method is only a 90-day build out. So if you want to come into our world and have a look at that, just go to $1millionagentmethod.com, book in a strategy session, and off we go. And really more of just a consultation to see if we're a fit for each other. There's no hard sell into what we do. The point here is that you will be able to de-link the time you spend in your business from the money that you make. That is the big promise of, the thousands of agents that have come through Real Estate B School, and now specifically $1 Million Agent Method. That's the promise, is that there's 4 stages of growth, just from 0 to 100 to 250 to 500 to $1 million. You don't have to work any more hours to do any of those different 4 stages. And it's basically 0 to 100, 100 to 250, 250 to 500, then 500 to $1 million. That's the 4 stages. But you'll be making, like, by the time you get to 500 to $1 million, you'll be making $350 an hour, up from roughly $24 an hour in the first stage. Like if you get to 100K versus 250, 500, $1 million. I mean, you could radically change your financial picture just by implementing some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. So this doesn't require a handout or anything. You don't need a copy of this. Really, I just want you to understand the thinking behind this. So, and this is a series. I do this every 90 days, and you won't even recognize, in a few 90-day cycles or 4 90-day cycles a year from now, if you really take this seriously. And I do this personally as well. What are the things you're passionate about versus the things that pay really well? So that's the axis. It's passion. Let's call it passion on the what is it? The vertical. Yeah, vertical. And pay is on the horizontal. It's 4 quadrants. High pay is on the top. Low pay is on the bottom. High passion is on the left, and low passion is on the right. Okay. So it's basically a grid where you're breaking down all the things you do as a real estate agent and what really brings you like a lot of passion and what pays well. So let me give you an example of, for me, building systems, high off the charts passion, and probably the thing that pays the most in any business as it's scaling. Let's say as it's scaling, not ultimately. There's not always systems to build. So I'm passionate about it, and it pays really well. At one point, I was actually passionate about listing appointments. So I was passionate and they paid really well. I actually got to the point where I wasn't passionate about listing appointments, but they paid really well. So it went from the upper left-hand quadrant, which are the things you're going to keep for a long time. It slipped into the upper right. So it was low passion, high pay. Showing homes to buyers. You could be high passion on it, but in my market, I could hire a world-class showing agent for like $25 an hour. So this is where I really get a lot of pushback. And you may not be at the point where you ever, even in the next 90 days or 180 days, that you need to make this decision. But conceptually, I want you to think about this. Your ability to make $250 an hour relies on you stopping the things that only pay $25 an hour. That's the essence of what we do right there. It's helping you build systems, automate, and eventually, even if it's just to a low-cost offshore VA, virtual assistant, or a junior agent that might come into your world and show homes for you so you can give up evenings and weekends, you could 10x your take-home pay just by a dozen systems first have to be installed, and that's what we do. And then maybe a couple people to go from 250 to 500 and then maybe beyond. So what are some other things that are entering a listing into MLS? Hopefully it's low passion, and it's definitely low pay, right? So installing a yard sign, hopefully it's low passion, it's super low pay. What are the other dozens of business errands that you run on a daily basis? Just write them all out. Write out everything you do. That's the exercise here. Write out everything you do for a 2-week period. Enter listings into MLS. I met an inspector. I lead generated in the morning. I did lead follow up. I checked my email. There's all these things you'll do and you'll write down. And then you'll just decide, are they really high pay or low pay? And do I really love to do them? And just be honest with yourself. And then the cool thing is you get to work on changing this over the next 90 days. So if like showing homes isn't the thing you're most passionate about, but you're really good at, new business development, which is, lead generation and lead follow up, you could sign clients all day long and never show any homes, right? For some of you, that's like, mind blown. But that's the essence of how you're going to make an unreasonable amount of money in real estate in a reasonable amount of time. So that's your homework, is that I want you to take this concept and just go on a piece of paper, and you could do one for personal, one for professional, and just write it out. It's high passion, high pay, low passion, high pay, high passion, low pay, low passion, low pay. Right. And then you get to work on for however long it takes to get everything that is low pay, for sure, low passion, low pay, off of your plate. Those things that you really can't afford to do those things anymore. And then when you have this ability to buy back your time or build a system that does it, or hire a virtual assistant, we have a whole system and we have a source for trained up virtual assistants that could grab you back 20 to 30 hours a week right out of the gate. So that's an easy solution that as long as you put back those hours into your business, doing activities that are 100 or 250 or $500 per hour, you will not recognize your bank account in 90 days, right? And so that's the homework. I want you to go through this process. I don't want you to judge it. I want you to just look at it, and you may not know how to build the systems that allow you the ability to delegate or automate. And if that's the case, and you know that this stuff is kind of resonating with you, you want to get after it in 2, 3, 10x your business. You really don't know the steps or what it would look like. That's when you just book in a conversation with us. Go to $1,000,000agentmethod.com, $1,000,000agentmethod.com. This is a very low stress consultation, mostly to figure out if we're a good fit for each other. We have different investment levels in that program, but it's a 13-week intensive build out where we're going to install all of your lead gen levers, all of your lead conversion systems, all of your consultation frameworks, and even some areas around leverage client care. If you need to bring on a virtual assistant or showing agent, we have all the systems for that as well. Lifetime access to all of it. And we've got 12 lead gen levers. 2 we require you install Database Touch Blueprint and Agent Brand Authority Builder, and we have 10 others, and we help you install 2 additional lead gen levers. Each are good for 1 transaction per month. Ultimately, we want each of those lead gen levers, 4 total, to scale to multiple transactions per month. Hence, $1,000,000 agent method. 8 deals per month times 12 months is 96 deals. 10,500 average commission check gets you to $1 million GCI. That's the path, 4 stages. If that's like way overwhelming to you, just go to $1,000,000agentmethod.com, book in a strategy session, and we'll see you on the next video. Be good.